The decisions you make when you're feeling bold and confident are actually the right ones for you. There's dummies who are winning off of your ideas, right? Idea to action. Go, immediately. You're supposed to suck at the beginning. So what's the most important thing to do after you set a bold goal for yourself? Immediate action. So why am I here? On a warm summer day last year, I decided that I was going to take Nina, my wife, to every city in North America with 1 million+ people. I just decided. She likes to travel. I already had a ton of travel, but she loved it, so I thought, I'm going to do this. I didn't know how many cities there were. I didn't know how we'd do it. Nina had a full-time job at the time. I didn't know all of the logistics of how to figure that stuff out. What most people do is they go home and they start planning. You start planning, you start researching, you start thinking. How are we going to make this happen? What's the next step, right? We're so worried about what the next perfect step is going to be. And you're planning to get to 100% complete. But then you wake up tomorrow a different person. You're feeling bold, motivated, excited, something happened, maybe here. You feel bold, motivated, excited, and then you make a decision. Tomorrow you wake up a different person. And then you don't believe in that vision anymore. I can't take Nina to every city in North America. I don't even know how many there are. And you know, she has a job, and we got dogs, and you just start talking yourself down from it. So I believe that the decisions you make when you're feeling bold and confident are actually the right ones for you. Those are actually the right ones for you. And then you spend most of the rest of your life having your head talk you down from actually going off and doing them, because you wake up tomorrow a different person. So I told Nina, I'm going to take you to every city, or I decided, right? 5 seconds later, what do I need to do? Take immediate action. I call it the 2% difference. So instead of worrying about how you're going to get to 100% and planning your way through it, just focus on how you can execute on the first 2%. Just get 2% done and build momentum. Because the difference between you and a lot of dummies who are winning, there's dummies who are winning off of your ideas, who didn't go to school for it, who don't have big ambitions, who aren't trying to serve, and they're winning just because they did it. So the difference is you get an idea, immediate action. Idea, action, right away. So I decided I'm going to take Nina to every city, North America, 1 million+ people that we hadn't both been to. Great. 5 minutes later, or 5 seconds later, Boston. We're going to hit Boston. That's where we're going this weekend. So it was a Wednesday. So I said, this weekend we're going to go to Boston. I thought in my head Boston was the closest city to where I'm from, Toronto, that we hadn't both been to, that was 1 million+ people. I was wrong. Pittsburgh is actually the closest city. And when I started this tour in Pittsburgh, they reminded me of that fact, that, hey, Evan, you could have saved 2 hours by just coming to Pittsburgh instead. But that's the thing. Your planning doesn't have to be perfect. The most important thing is that you start. So we went to Boston. And I messaged Nina, and I said, hey, Nina, I've decided. She was at work. I'm standing outside a warm summer day. Nina, I'm going to take you to every city in North America, 1 million+ people. And this weekend, we're going to go to Boston. Just decided, right? Idea to action. Go, immediately, right? I believe your idea comes from somewhere. Trust it. Stop judging it. Stop telling yourself why you can't do it. And just try something. Just get into action mode. Otherwise, you're wasting time. And so this weekend, we're going to go to Boston. Great. Then I messaged Danny. And he had a business partner at the time, and I said, hey, guys, I know it's Wednesday. On Friday, we're going to go to Boston. Taking Nina. Do you want to come? Film some stuff? I don't know what we're going to do yet. You want to come? Yeah, OK. Great. Now we're going to Boston. What am I going to do in Boston? I don't know. We got to figure something out, right? Now we start planning. Because we've decided, right? We've taken momentum. Now you're using a plan to help you instead of hurt you. You're using your head and your heart together instead of having them fight against each other. It's very rare that your head and your heart are aligned, because your heart wants to create something new, and your head only understands the world that exists. So your head is practical, logical, but then can never create anything amazing. That's why Richard Branson never brings in the accountants until the deal is already done. Right? Not that any accountants in the room don't want to bash the accountants. And so we went to Boston. We had a great time. On the way there, I'm messaging my audience in Boston on my newsletter and say, hey guys, come into Boston. I want to do a meetup. Traveling, when I travel, meeting up with Believe Nation is my favorite thing to do. of all time. I don't need to try the food or see the sights. I like meeting you guys. I could be here all day long and never see anything. Just stay in this auto building. It'd be amazing. Danny and Nina like to see stuff, so we're doing it for them too. So I message everybody and say, hey guys, we're gonna go to Boston. We're coming. Do you want to do a coffee shop meetup? And we had 20-something people say, yeah, I want to meet up for coffee. The next day, right? Great. And then they messaged me to say there's a guy named Kit Pang who runs a group called Boston Speaks, who maybe could be an opportunity for you. A couple hours later, Kit Pang is DMing me and saying, hey, Evan, I want you to speak at my event. Great. So we drive Friday night. I pick up Nina from her work, drive 8 hours to Boston, get in at 2 in the morning, go to sleep, wake up, go to the coffee shop meetup, go to the public speaking event with Kit Pang. Next day, explore the city, clam chowder, take in the harbor, and then Monday we drive home. It was July 4th long weekend. So Monday we're driving home. We just are driving home. We're like, wow, it's amazing. Just came out of nowhere, right? Like Wednesday I decided, and Friday we left, and we just had this amazing weekend in Boston. Now we're driving home. I've got this goal. I'm feeling motivated and bold and confident in how great this thing just went. So what do I need to do? More action. Because by the time I get home to Toronto, I'll wake up and be a different person. When you're feeling bold and motivated and excited, you have to go off and take more action. So the first part was 2%. On the way home, I'm thinking, okay, how do we hit half the cities on our list? How do we hit half the cities on our list? Let's start 2019 with a tour. Right? It would mean Nina would quit her job. Danny would kick off some of his other deals and come work for me. And the three of us would go on a road tour. So we went from 2, right? 2% to half. And I still don't know how I'm going to get the other half yet. But it's the action that makes that all happen. So many of you are so worried about creating a plan to get to 100% that then you never do anything. And the most important thing is to just go. So we made the plan. We're gonna do a tour. Great. And I sent an email out to my list and made some YouTube videos. Guys, we're coming to all these cities. Come check me out. Send me a list. Send me an email if you're coming, if you're close. But it was a free tour at that time. And then Tony Robbins happened. So I've been working with Tony's team for 3-ish years. And he agreed to come on my channel and do a one-on-one interview. And at the end of the interview, he said, Evan, thank you so much for the time. I'd love to invite you as my guest to my event in New York in November to be in the front row and then meet me backstage afterwards. Great. I wasn't going to go to New York, but I am now, right? It's amazing. Why not? So I go, and I go a day early because I wanted to meet with Believe Nation, and my agent's also in New York. And so I did the same thing, coffee shop meetup. And it was a big cafe in Times Square, or not Times Square, Manhattan, and we filled the front. And it was amazing. People not everybody had seats. I didn't have a seat, but it was just a ton of amazing energy. And it was a good full circle moment for me because my first time trying to do a meetup was in New York a number of years ago. And I said, guys, I'm here in New York. Let's do a meetup at a Starbucks. And 6 people said they were going to come. And I was so excited. It's like, oh, what do they look like? You know, like just to see what these people who watch my videos every day look like. And I was so excited. 6 people is amazing. And over the course of the week leading up to it, 5 of them canceled on me. Different reasons. I'm out of town, I'm busy, something. But it's okay, because it's still the one person. It doesn't matter, one person. It's going to be great. And so the time comes, it's like Saturday, 1 o'clock afternoon, I'm sitting there in a Starbucks, I'm trying to look at the name and see like, who looks like that? Does that look like a Joseph, maybe? You know, trying to figure that out. It's 5 minutes past, I don't see anybody. I hope that he, recognizes me, and I've got my logo on, and, they should hopefully know who I am. And then I look at my email, and there's the message, and he says, hey, Evan, I'm still an hour and a half out of the city. I'm not going to be able to make it. Sorry, man. And so sitting there alone in the Starbucks, my first meetup was a total fail. And so now to have this meetup in New York be a huge success was this nice full circle moment for me. And I think that's actually good. I think you're supposed to suck at the beginning. I think if you don't suck at the start, you should have done it 3 years ago. I was doing a podcast on the way down here, and this guy was telling me about how he did this event, and he'd always wanted to do this event, and he finally did his own event, and he sold out and had 500 people there, and it was his first time, and he was so happy. And I'm like, amazing, but that sucks. Like, you should have done it 3 years ago. If you are great the first time out, you should have started it 3 years ago. And you've had so much more momentum built. So you should suck at the beginning. Doesn't mean that you suck as a human. You just don't have the skills yet to do the thing. So the first time you do it, like anything else, like if you got on a skateboard, you probably would fall unless you grew up skateboarding. That's okay. You practice and you'll get better. So people try to make YouTube videos and then they suck the first time. Like, well, you've never done it before. Like, you should expect to suck. And then you will get better with practice. So we had the New York event. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling amazing. Coming out of it, full circle moment. I go meet my agent, and he says, Evan, you suck. I'm like, okay, Steve, tell me why I suck. And this is actually a kind of an inside joke, but for the people that I seek counsel from, I like telling them, hey, tell me that I suck. Tell me why I suck. Like, tell me why I'm like the worst in the world at this thing. Because it gives them permission to be honest. Because the typical response would be, well, you don't suck, but if you did these things, maybe you could get better. Where most people have a hard time giving honest feedback because they're afraid they're going to hurt your feelings. And so I want to crush that. Right? If I can learn from them and say, hey, tell me I suck. Tell me I suck at this thing. And so Steve, my agent, tells me that I suck. He said, for you, this is it's not a big challenge doing this tour. It's a challenge for your wife. It's outside her comfort zone. She had to quit her job to do this thing. Maybe a challenge for Danny, had to turn down other gigs to be able to do this thing. But for you, it's easy. It's inside your comfort zone. It may seem like a big risk to people watching. It's a quarter of the year on the road, no breaks. But for you, it's easy. I said, yeah, you're right. Like, this is just going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. But it's not really, I don't see it as a huge challenge. So he said, you know what, Evan? You need to charge for the event. Like, oh, I don't want to charge for the event. I'm happy charging big corporations and publishing companies and those giant companies lots of money. But entrepreneurs are hard for me because of where I came from. And I wouldn't be able to afford to come to something like this. Like $45 or $7 or however much a ticket is would have been too much for me. And so it was a challenge for me to say yes and do that. But you get challenged. What do you got to do? Immediate action. Because you'll wake up tomorrow a different person. Right? And in my head, I'm thinking, I already said it was going to be free. I already sent email newsletters out. I already made videos. I said it was going to be free. Now I need to charge for it. And so I made a video apologizing and explaining what was going on. But if I waited till the next day, I would have been a different person. And I would have gone to Tony's event and said, Steve, screw that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Found a reason why not to do it. Right? So it's the immediate action. So all of this started because I was walking on a summer day and decided I was going to take Nina, to my wife, because she loved to travel, to every city in North America with 1 million+ people. And then we went to Boston, and then we started a tour, and then we did a paid tour, and then we still have to figure out how we're going to hit the other 20-something cities on our list. But that's the difference, right? The 2% difference. That's it. As soon as you get an idea, don't judge the idea, just go do something about it. Because you're planning on how to get to 100. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what's the perfect first step? What's my next step? It doesn't matter. Step. My step was wrong, right? I went to Boston. It's okay to make the wrong step, but the momentum is way more valuable because if I didn't go to Boston, I would never have gone to Pittsburgh. Right? If you don't start, you'll never get your perfect plan done. And so many businesses, the plan that you start with is very rarely the plan that you finish with. Look at how many businesses that you love and look up to and respect have evolved and shifted over the years. Right? BMW sold airplanes. That's why their logo is a propeller. They sold airplanes before selling cars. Wrigley's sold baking soda before they got into gum. Like, people like to say pivot. It happens all the time. But you don't figure it out until you start going. Just like the jumping in the circle. I had a guy in a different group who was saying, who jumps clockwise? That's crazy. He was very offended and upset that people jump clockwise. For him, I guess counterclockwise was the way to go. But he's starting to jump when everybody wants to go clockwise, so he has to adjust because the goal is to get around in a circle. That's going to happen to you in your business. Like you won't be able to plan all the way to the end. And so it's taking immediate action. So the next time you come with an idea, you do something about it. You go. And you start building momentum. You commit to somebody else. You commit to somebody else so that you have to follow through. And then you start using your head to help you how to figure out how to do it.
So putting this event on in San Jose was definitely a team effort, and I want to give a quick shout out to everybody who helped promote it. To see what we do in Salt Lake City, check the link there right next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.